Hi there, welcome. Today we are going to be talking about the basics of UX design. So let's start by knowing the definition of UX. UX, or user experience design, is how a person, the user, feels about interacting with or experiencing a product. It's talking about how a person, or it may be the user, feels about interacting or experiencing a product. A product can be good service, feature, physical products like video game controller, bag of potato chips, applications, website, or smartwatch. Another physical example that you can see is the clothes that you are wearing, the shoe that you are putting on. All of these things are products. So when we talk about that, UX design is talking about how a person or a user feels about interacting with the product. That is all what UX has to do with. And now, as a UX designer, you must be able to know that your product is very, very important when creating them. One of the features that you must put into your product is that your product must be equitable. What does that mean? It means that your product must be useful and marketable to people with diverse abilities and background. Your product must be useful to everyone, irrespective of their background and their abilities. And number two things that you must know is that your product must be enjoyable. For example, everyone can interact with an application called Facebook. Facebook is an application that has stayed for so many years. Everyone can pick the phone and today they can operate Facebook irrespective of their background or their abilities. And as people operate the Facebook, they enjoy it. And so that is why we say that as a UX designer, your product must be enjoyable. Alright, we are going to speak more about that later. Let's go into what the UX designers do. What are the things that UX designers do? Alright, number one, UX designers, they are curious about people and they like thinking about how people's minds work. They are curious about the way people are thinking. The reason why it is called user experience is that you put your user first, meaning that your user must be the focus point of your product. So you must be curious about how your user is thinking. You must be curious about the way they are doing. You must be curious about how their mind is working. Number two, they are empathetic. And what does empathy mean? Empathy is the ability to understand someone else's feelings and thoughts in a situation. As a UX designer, you must be ready to understand and know the feelings of the people that you are designing an application for. If you are designing a website, you must understand firstly how they are feeling, what would have been the problem, and what would have been the pain point of your user. Let's go to number three. They focus on how users interact with a product. One of the major aspects of UX designers is that they also focus on how users interact with a product. They are too mindful. They are very curious about how users interact with a product. So as a UX designer, you must be ready to do this. Number four, a UXer works with UX researcher, UX writers, UX engineers, UX program managers, production designers. These production designers, they are the ones that ensure that the first and the final designs, they match in the finished product materials and that the assets are ready to be handed off to the engineering team. So as a UX designer, you have a lot of colleagues to work with, like the UX researcher, UX writers, and other people like that. You are not alone, so you have a whole lot of community to work with, and it is called the teamwork. So you will learn how to work with these people, because it is not only the UX designers that produce a product, it is in collaboration with other team members. Alright, so let's look at the 3 types of UX designers. We have 3 types of UX designer. Number 1, we have the interaction designers. Number 2, we have the visual designers. Number 3, we have the motion designers. Who are the interaction designers? The interaction designers focus on designing the experience of a product and how it functions. They figure out the user's need and business goals with what is actually feasible to build. These are the people that focus about the user's pain points, the user's needs, and these are the people that deals about creating wireframes. You will learn that in the later course. Creating wireframes, building mock-ups in order to test if the product has solved the problem of the user. Alright, so let's look at the second one, visual designers. The visual designers, they are the one that focus on how a product or technology looks. These are the people that focus on how a product or the technology looks. These are the people that talks about the iconography, that is the icon that is being used on the product, how it can solve the pain point of the user. They also check the typography, if the writings is bold enough or is smaller. They are the one that talks about the look of the design. Alright, so let's go into the third part, the motion designers. The motion designers, they are the one that think about what it feels like for a user to move through a product and how to create a smooth transitions between pages on an application or website. These are the people that use movement to convey an idea. They are the one that see to how the pages are being moved from one to another. They see to the transition of each pages and how the user can navigate so that it can actually solve the problem of the user. If you have been following from the first to the second and to the third part of the UX designers that we have, you will know that all of them, they are solving one problem. And what is the problem they are solving? It is to solve the problem of the users. So you must know this, that as a UX designer, you are meant to solve the problem of the user. Your design must be user focused. It must not be to just show the beauty part of a design, but also most important that you solve the problem of the user. Alright,